Hi everyone, welcome to ED860 Module-1B, the mini case study of Purdue Global. For the past week, we read a lot on the born of Purdue Global and how we know how significant it has been in U.S. higher education history. So in this presentation, I will try to summarize the key points in this event and also raise some questions for you to discuss. I will start with the Purdue University reforms before the purchase. And it was all under the presidency of Purdue President Mitch Daniels. Personally, I think these reforms were very important in the privatization of higher education. So the very first one was the tuition freeze for 7 years at Purdue. And it was so unique and different from other public higher education institutions because low tuition and mass enrollment are considered to be important factors before the privatization process. And it was encouraging to see that the tuition freeze brought higher enrollment of students, and it also brought more alumni donation. Those money was very important for a need. This brought money for Purdue and to build new facilities for learning, housing, and researching. And the student loans at Purdue, the rates were quite low. Unlike other public higher education institutions, which hire cheaper adjunct faculty and part-time faculty, most full-time faculty at Purdue maintained, and their pay was increased. Also, no driving up for international students and out-of-state students who will surely bring more and higher tuitions. Another innovation was to sponsor high school to build enrollment pipeline, especially for low-income students and minority students. And unnecessary costs were cut to save money. So in conclusion, the Purdue reforms under Daniels' presidency were more on the public focus in Lambert's figure. So far, Purdue University was considered to create kind of a virtuous circle for its development, and it has been a good story for public university to develop without state funds and other commonly used methods. However, Purdue University made this bold decision to purchase a profit online university, that is the Kaplan University, for only $1. And according to this transaction, Purdue University will receive an income of $10 million each year from Kaplan for the first 5 years, what they call priority payment. And Purdue will pay to Kaplan 12%, 5% of Purdue Global's yearly revenue. Despite of the advantages the transaction may bring to both entities, there are a lot of problems too. So here are the key problems, I think, which are very important for our discussion about the privatization of higher education. First, this is an unprecedented privatization event in public higher education. So there are no examples to follow, and those promises and possible outcomes and rules remain uncertain. Another problem related to this is the legitimacy of Purdue Global as a public benefit corporation and a public school. It is so new that, well, a lot of discussions and disputes and problems remains. In Mill's article, according to HLC requirement, Purdue University and Purdue Global should be separately accredited institutions. But the governance structures in both entities are ambiguous when the new Purdue Global was born. For example, there are two boards with the same chairman, Michael, and no one knows which entity has the final power in decision making and how they can be separately institutions. Another concern was about the low admission standards and the high tuition. If the land grant institutional mission is about the low tuition and accessible higher education to people, this high tuition of Purdue Global is an opposite direction away from the mission. And in the transaction, it is stated that the tuition is kept from being decreased, and Kaplan has the right to say no to the final decision on tuition. So that is a big problem. Another problems include Kaplan's historical predatory recruitment strategies and the lack of oversight from the state government. And all these problems put more on the private focus in Lambert's figure. So for the discussion, I have these two questions. First, how do you think about the tuition freeze policy at Purdue University? That is before the purchase. And what are your predictions about the future of Purdue Global for the next 5 years? Please support your predictions with your reasons. I am happy to be the facilitator for this week, and see you on Blackboard.